Hello everybody and welcome back to At the Screening. You know, there are a lot of bad episodes of My Little Pony. Whether it's Rainbow Falls, Daring Doubt, Dragon Quest, or half of Season 8's episodes, all of them needed several rewrites in order to make them watchable. But what if we could change only one thing? What if there was a moment that, if redone, could change the episode for the better? Or at least make it easier to consume. That's what I'm here to do. For this New Year's resolution, I'm going to go through 10 episodes in no particular order and say how I'd fix one part in each of them to make the awful episodes not a chore to watch. But before we get started, let's get one thing perfectly clear. The ending of the end is not on the list. I know a lot of people hate the twist of Discord being Grogar because it denies the chance of seeing another G1 villain in action and it, quote, hurts Discord as a character. I respond with, Discord is still in character if the events of Three's a Crowder is any consolation. It was foreshadowed if you paid attention to his dialogue on Sombra in the beginning of the end. While it would have been cool to see Grogar in the forefront, the villain scene is already too crowded, and Discord has done much, much worse as a character, as we'll soon see. And with that disclaimer out of the way, here are 10 simple fixes to bad My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episodes. Number 10. Bridal Gossip. Oh, you lazy, confusing, unsubtle mess of an episode. How I love to bash this piece of crap since the day I declared myself a fan in 2011. It's predictable, the poison joke still makes no goddamn sense 10 years later, Evil Enchantress has always been an assault on the eardrums, and, for those wondering how I can love the G5 movie yet still loathe this episode, 4 words, adults are useless trope. So, what the hell am I gonna fix in this episode? Well, in regards to the adults are useless thing, what if not all of them are? Imagine if Twilight didn't go with the rest of her cursed compatriots to find Apple Bloom and continue to look for answers. With a non-working horn, which still doesn't make sense of how that happened, she would be pretty much defenseless going into the Everfree Forest. So, at the start of the third act, it cuts back to Twilight covered in books, about to give up, until Spike insists on having her read the book she hadn't read. Reluctantly, she reads the book on supernaturals to discover the answer, running off and coming in right after Apple Bloom appears in Zikora's doorway. The same don't judge the cover of the book lesson is taught, but Twilight comes to that lesson on her own with a different case of having egg on your face than the rest of the Prejudice main 6. Number 9. One bad apple. Sometimes it's one line that rubs you the wrong way. For one bad apple, it was this one.
And we figured out you were just doing it to avoid getting picked on in Ponyville. But by then, we were the ones being bullies.
At no point did the CMC ever become bullies in this episode. They did, however, lack the proportionate response to being bullied by Apple Bloom's cousin. If Sweetie Belle changed her line to, we went overboard trying to get back at you instead of trying to talk to an adult about the problem, I think the message wouldn't have been muddied. I was on board with the episode at first. Then the reveal happened, and we got a disappointing outing for the Cunemore Crusaders. Number 8. FiM and Misfortune. Hey, remember when I put this episode in my top 5 favorites for Season 7? Oh god, that statement aged like milk. You know, I like to think myself as a humble person, so I'll go ahead and say it. I was wrong. This episode isn't good. Even if we take away the behind-the-scenes drama, the story makes no sense. I like the idea of addressing fandom culture and its toxicity, but it confuses the meta-text of the common complaints of the show for actual text in-universe. The townsfolk and outsiders shouldn't be complaining about character when they're confronting real ponies. So, what if the book the main 6 published was actually fictional? Instead of compiling the lessons into the book as is, why not adjust the lessons to be short stories published by the girls as inspired by real events? Authors have always done that, F. Scott Fitzgerald with The Great Gatsby, Kurt Vonnegut in Slaughterhouse-Five, Stephen King with The Tommyknockers, all of them inspired by personal events. So instead of criticizing the ponies, they're instead criticizing the writing. Fluttershy could have written different stories with similar lessons. Rarity stories could be interpreted as a little self-centered. And yes, someone could critique one of Twilight's stories having an unnecessary upgrade. As a result, the meta text and the actual text blend in perfectly. Number 7. Flutterbrudder. I don't like Zephyr Breeze. He's an obnoxious millennial stereotype that prefers to lay about and do nothing than actually put in the time and effort to work towards a goal. I take one look at this self-absorbed vagabond and I want to punch him in the muzzle, hoping I knock some sense into him. The entire episode describes him as an unhireable moocher, yet Fluttershy says he's smart and talented. Where? Where does he have that, Fluttershy? The episode never indicated that he had it. It's another case of show don't tell that everyone has ignored. How about instead of saying the guy's brilliant, we actually depict his talents? Maybe after throwing Zephyr out, Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy stumble across a sketchbook of his, showing his radical but impressive design work. Rainbow could compliment how he puts more effort into his concepts than an actual job, which prompts Fluttershy to find her younger brother in the woods. They show him his book, he reluctantly agrees to come back under her rules, and then Do It On My Own plays out. It fixes the biggest issue with the episode by showing the problematic character is brilliant but lazy. Number 6. 28 Pranks Later. You know, if the episode wasn't so full of itself, I might have actually appreciated it. 28 Pranks Later is a rehash of the mysterious Mirtowell. For some, that's not a bad thing, as those people actually liked that polarizing episode. Others were miffed that we had to watch it again, even if it was okay the first time. As for me, I was pissed off that we had the opportunity to fix the Season 2 blunder, and they ended up shooting themselves in the foot. Instead of a wake-up call to Rainbow Dash to treat others the way she wants to be treated, we have the Twilight, Rarity, and Applejack soapbox on comedy and pranks that hangs over the episode's story. All they needed to do was drop the philosophy on pranking, and the episode would have been watchable. I know to some this is a controversial take, but the episode would have been better for it. Number 5. A Rock Hoof and a Hard Place. If you haven't seen my collab with Mastercode on this controversial episode, click the button on the top right of your screen. The review is a riot, and we both made good points regarding the handling of the problematic topic of suicide and mental health. My biggest complaint was they didn't take the subject seriously, with the allegory treated as inconvenient rather than permanent. The fairly obvious solution would be for Twilight not to humor him with the option of petrification, but let's take a different direction. Let's instead explore one of the 3 alternative epiphanies Rockhoof could have made. What if Rockhoof wanted to rescind his Pillar of Harmony status? After the failure in the Navy, he's walking with Twilight and Applejack. He says that this was his last chance at finding somewhere he belongs and he felt weak. He stops. He repeats that he feels weak. He says to Twilight to call the other pillars and tell them that he doesn't have the strength to carry on. He has to rescind his Pillar of Strength moniker. After some debate with no budging, Twilight asks Spike to take over teaching in order to stall for time before the other pillars arrive. In doing so, Spike tells the class about Rockhoof's current situation. In the evening, Rockhoof is seen conversing with the shovel for what he thinks is the final time. Then the episode plays out as normal from there, but with the rest of the pillars in the audience listening to the story. Now, while we still have to contend with the not knowing how the world works bullshit, we're thankfully spared a plot where our main character contemplates killing themselves, and it's not treated with dignity. Number 4. Some pony to watch over me. Remember what I said during One Bad Apple about proportionate response? Does not exist here! Applejack freaks out about Applebloom staying home alone only to walk in unannounced, and her younger sister accidentally spills soup on herself. That was the trigger for Applejack being a helicopter sibling, which led to Applebloom to run away and face off against a chimera in the fire swamps. I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but you need to have a better situation for Applejack to overreact to. The accident happened in the kitchen originally, So how about she mistakes steam for smoke coming from an open window? This would lead in perfectly with AJ babying Apple Bloom to where she has to take the cart on her own. As long as AJ doesn't come to the conclusion before her sister runs away, this will make the episode a bit more bearable. Number 3. Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep? I was rooting for this episode. I was 100% on board with the concept for this mid-season finale. Then, the other shoe dropped.
I created the Tantibus to give myself the same nightmare every night. To punish myself for the evil I caused as Nightmare Moon.
That revelation came right out of nowhere. Instead of actual praise for the Princess of the Night, it soured to anger at her not telling everyone she harmed herself every night with something that could harm others. The reveal had an episode dealing with guilt and self-esteem, and morphed it into an episode about depression and self-mutilation, giving half the fandom mood whiplash. For years, I've been saying that Tantibus should have remained as a task for Luna to keep watch on as the dream catcher, preventing the more dangerous nightmares from entering the other ponies' dreams. But if we were to stick with the Tantibus creation angle, maybe introduce the true origins earlier? After the failed attempt to contain it within the main six's dreams, Luna keeps saying to herself it's her fault, while the girls reassure her that it wasn't, and they'll get it next time. Luna says they don't understand because she was the one who created the Tantibus, ending the second act. The third act opens with her explaining the Tantibus creation was supposed to be an act of penance. Rainbow might be a little quick to judge, but AJ and Twilight comfort her, saying that they're there for her. Pinkie reveals she dreamed the whole town was in her dream, leading to the final battle. Luna still doubts herself even after revealing her mistake, but Twilight shows the progress she made with everyone trusting her and believing in her, finally putting the Tantibus to rest. If this was the progression of events, Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep would have been the top 5 rather than the bottom 5 of that season. Number 2. Once Upon a Zeppelin. This is a well-liked episode. I have friends who relate to Twilight and her situation. I respect that they find relatability in the story. I'm saying this now as a preface, because Once Upon a Zeppelin is one of the most incompetently written episodes I've ever seen. The only pony not holding the idiot ball in the story is Flurry Heart. Twilight apparently can't stand up for herself for something she didn't sign up for. Cadence is heartless. Twilight's dad, despite being detail-oriented and organized, can't read a damn contract. Star Chaser needs to back the fuck up. And the part that everyone ignores, that is not Iron Will! Iron Will is a motivational speaker. He pumps up the crowd. He builds enthusiasm and confidence. He's a little bit on the aggressive side, but he's overall a well-meaning creature. He's not a con artist who uses shady business practices like having ponies sign contracts without reading them and blackmailing unwilling convention guests to earn serious coin. As to what to fix, it brings me to my question to the season 7 to 9 staff. Was this originally supposed to be a Flim and Flam episode? I'm serious. I'm willing to bet this episode originally starred the Flim Flam brothers, but was swapped out with Iron Will during the finalization of the script. If Flim and Flam were in the episode instead of Iron Will, the scam would make much more sense, as the money made from profiting off the princesses would be going to the park in Las Pegasus. In addition, I'd actually buy Twilight's parents signing a contract without reading because the brothers have massive charisma modifiers. If only one thing in this episode made sense, it would be this change. Number 1. A matter of principles. There are not enough ways to say this episode can go fornicate with a rusty pitchfork. I hate how Discord plays a bigger villain role here compared to his introduction in Return of Harmony. I hate that Cranky is an out-of-character jerk. I hate that Trixie is brought in to teach a class. I hate that Yona was put in danger twice and nearly died to a bugbear sting and quicksand. However, the thing I hate most about this episode is that Starlight apologized to Discord. Starlight is in the right the entire episode, yet she's made to look like the actual antagonist in the eyes of the students. Starlight is a victim of gaslighting, and no one has said anything about it. So, I'm going to change that entire speech that approached the situation as a counselor. Instead of saying, "I'm sorry," she says these 4 words. What would Fluttershy say? She put up with Discord shenanigans all day. If she tells Fluttershy he almost hurt one of her students because he didn't get picked as temporary head mayor, do you really think she will let him off the hook regardless of their relationship? This is the tough love that I saw in school days that was so desperately missing here. Starlight's backbone was ripped out by admitting fault when she didn't need to. By telling Discord off, by threatening his relationship to Fluttershy, he owns up to his 10% and apologizes to Starlight and the students. Discord could even compliment her tenacity, saying if his antics didn't break her, then clearly Twilight picked the right pony to be in charge of the school. With this major fix, Starlight still has her spine, Discord didn't get away with murder, and it builds up Starlight's eventual takeover of the Friendship School. That is how I would fix 10 of the worst episodes of the show with a simple change. Next time, we finally talk about the best of the best. I'm the voice of reason, and you're at the screening.